Hello guys, welcome to part 9 and chapter 9 of Son of the Sannin, the Uchiha Coup Data part 1. Or Sharingan versus Byakugan or Sharingan versus Inoshikacho. It was the end of another nice, quiet, and uneventful day at Konoha. The sun was starting to set, and its inhabitants got prepared for their usual evening activities. At the Hokage's tower, Hiruzen Sarutobi had just finished with the daily paperwork and was now relaxing by reading a novel on on one of the tower's living rooms. Shukaku Nara, Inoichi Yamanaka, and Choja Akimichi were on their favorite tavern, sharing a few drinks, re-encharging about reminiscing about the old days, reading about their wives and boasting about their children. Anko Mitarashi was at her favorite spot to dango, yeah, having some snacks and stuff her mouth with her favorite food. Hiroka and Mizuki were also hanging out at a bar, with the latter trying and failing to flirt with a Konoichi there, and Iruka trying to remind Mizuki in vain that he was going to marry in a few weeks. Kurona Yuhi and was at her house doing her laundry. Yago Yuzuki and Hayate Gecko were on a date to celebrate the first year anniversary of their relationship. In the Hyuga compound, Hiyashi Hyuga was revising some clan's paperwork regarding the clan's expenditure for the past month, while his wife played with their daughters. Meanwhile, Hisashi and Neji finished some late afternoon training at the boys' request on a one-room apartment near the walls. Itachi looked through the window at the village, wondering why he didn't hear any news from his friend and cousin Chishui yet, and prayed for his safety. At that at the Senju residence, Tsunade was in the living room teaching Hagane and Kaide how to play poker while Shizune and Naruto were in the kitchen about to prepare dinner while Shizune told Naruto that if he got ramen for breakfast and later for lunch he wasn't going to have ramen for dinner. The Uchiha compound, however, was completely empty except for one person. Sasuke Uchiha, who was fast asleep in his bed after having a rather brutal training session with his father. Little did he know that Fukaku wanted Sasuke to be asleep as soon as possible to keep him away from what was about to happen. At the east gate of Konoha, two Konoichis were finishing their shift. One of them was big, had spiky brown hair and a broad nose. The other was a skinny man who wore a eye patch over his left eye and a bandana over his head. The sun is setting down, so I believe it's time to close the doors, right, Beku? The skinny one said. I guess so. Thought though our replacement didn't come yet. I want the man answered. Beko replied, "Oh, who cares? It's not our business if they are late. Come on, let's close the gates and go have some drinks. My throat is dry," Beko said as he walked towards the gates but had no response from his partner. Awana? The big-nosed Chunin turned around to see his eye-patch-wearing partner flat on his back, lifeless. "What the hell?" "I am sorry, but the gates are to remain open for the rest of the night," a chilling voice said behind Beko. Beko turned around, and when he did so, the man behind him slashed his throat open. The last the last thing the Chunin saw before expiring were a pair of red eyes staring into his very soul. Westgate secured. Send the signal, the Uchiha Chunin said to his partner. The other Uchiha nodded and reformed several hand seals and casted a great fireball into the sky. A few minutes later, hundreds of criminals, merchants, and low-level missing ninjas that were hiding amongst the forest of the outskirts of Konoha left their hiding place and rushed into the unsuspecting village. It took no time for Konoha ninjas to find themselves overwhelmed while dealing with with this wave of enemies that came seemingly out of nowhere. Meanwhile, on a secret route underground, Danzo walked through a hallway while being flanked by two of his most loyal bodyguards, Fu Yamanaka and Toroyini Aburame. Everything has been prepared for the surgery. Danzo-sama, the medics are already waiting for you, Fu mentioned. Excellent. What about the seals? Danzo asked, already prepared as well. It will be applied immediately after the surgery. They will make sure that nobody will be able to remove the Sharingan eye from your eye socket. Torune replied, good, come on, I want to get over with this as soon as possible, Danzo said as he finally reached the door of the operation room. What on earth? Danzo was expecting the two rude medic ninja to greet him and ask him to lay on the operation table so they could start. Instead, they were lying on the floor, motionlessly, surrounded by a pool of their own blood. On the operation table was sitting a masked man wearing a black cloak with red clouds on it. On his hand was a jar with a Sharingan eye on it. Oh, hey, what's up? I hope you don't mind, but I really need this eye. So I'm going to confiscate it for the time being, the masked man nonchalantly announced. And if you don't mind, well, you will have to. If you do mind, well, you have to deal with it. That's how life rolls. Fu, Toro, execute this man and retrieve the eyes. Danzo's voice was firm but without panic. The two minions unsheathed their tanto and charged at the masked man. I would love to stay and play with you guys, but I am kind of a busy now. Please go, please go to people places to go, people to kill. I'm sure you understand. The masked man said and disappeared in a swirling vortex before Danzo's bodyguard could reach him. Sound the alarms! He cannot be too far! Danzo shouted, now more desperate. Iruka and Mizuki were fighting against a pair of identical ninja wearing a gray and dark blue camouflage clothes, red rebreathing kirigakure, forehead protectors, and large blood gankote on their respective dominant arms. Gunters were linked by a long, spiky metal chain. I think I know this guy. Kirigakure's demon brothers. They fled their village after a failed attempt of a coup d'etat. It seems that they are trying again here, Iruka said. That's nice and all, but how strong are they? Mizuki said, a bit nervous. The bingo book listed them as B-rank unions, so they are similar in power to us, Iruka mentioned. It says that their specialties are ambush, but they are meticulous in direct combat. Let me show you how wrong that bingo book of yours it is. Come on, come on, Mizu. one of them said as he and his brother charged at the duo of teachers. Mizuki jumped in mid-air, pulled out his Fuma shuriken and tossed it against the chain, pinning it to the ground and stopping the brothers' charge. They quickly pressed a button on their gauntlets that detached the chains from them and allowed them to fight individually. Bladed, gauntlets clashed against kunais and shurikens, while the demon brothers weapons were indeed dangerous and in, intimidating. They stopped them from performing hand seals and thus jutsus. They had been working on one-on-one hands seals, but they still had a long way to go until they could use ninjutsus with just one hand. One of the brothers left himself wide open for a second, but that was all that Iruka needed. The teacher kicked his opponent, who was pushed against his nearing ideal, identical brothers, while Iruka made some hand seals. Demonic illusion, night cover. The brother quickly fell prey to Iruka's illusion, dropped on their knees, and soon they fell asleep. He then started to tie them with their own chains. Well, so much for these demon brothers, Mizuki said as he twins a kunai from his finger. Mizuki, behind you! The white-haired Shunin jumped in time to avoid a backstab from an enemy, this time an Uchiha Chunin. Iruka ran through hand seals. Water's released. Water gun! Iruka shouted before releasing a powerful stream of water out of his mouth that blasted the Uchiha against a nearby wall. Mizuki finished him by stabbing a kunai on his side. Why the hell the Uchihas are fighting along side these guys? Shouldn't they be on our side? Mizuki asked frustrated. It seems that the brought, the Uchihas brought them. Iruka said with a twinkle of sadness. What do you mean by that? I heard some rumors about the Anbu watching the Uchiha clan because they were afraid they were doing some shady stuff. Apparently, this is what they had planned. These guys seems to be their foot soldiers. Great, just great. And why the hell are all the Jonins? You are all your play Kakashi, your pal Kakashi would be of great help here. Kakashi had to leave the village the last week due to a long-term mission. I don't know what are the other Jonins doing? Okay, in that case, this is what we are going to do. So far, we don't know how this will end, so we will find a safe place to hide there. Once the battle is over, we get out and join whoever has won. What? Mizuki, you can't be serious. Are we going to abandon Konoha in its time of need? Iruka explained pre-exhausted. It's the most intelligent solution. What if the Uchiha win? Being Konoha ninjas, do you think they will be nice to us and let us go back to our jobs like nothing happened? And if we side with the Uchiha and they lose, we will be executed for treason. That's why we have to fight to make sure that Uchiha don't win. Iruka said, staring angrily at his co-worker. Every man counts. No, until things calm down, it's every man for himself. Iruka replied as he grabbed his Fuma shuriken and tossed it at a disbelieving Iruka. The teacher managed to move aside before the giant shuriken could hit him and stab itself on the chest of a bandit who was already had a knife raised ready to stab Iruka in the back. That was on the house. Don't expect me to save your sorry ass again. Mizuki harshly stated as he retrieved his main weapon from the corpse. Now, be smart once in your life and find a hiding place. With that, Mizuki leaped out of Iruka's side and decided that the best course of action would be to find other more ninjas to watch each other's back. Meanwhile, on his apartment, unwary of all the chores unfolding on the village, Itachi was washing the dishes after a light meal for dinner. He had planned to meditate for half an hour and go to bed early. The Hokage had already assigned him another A rank mission for the next day. Things were going to be hard for the Uchiha outcast. He still had rather big debt with the bank, but he was saving up a rather large sum of amount of money that allowed him to cover uh, for basic needs, to pay rent and bank each month, and still have money that he decided to save for future emergencies, though maybe he would be use more of that money to decorate his apartment a bit more. One of the reasons he didn't allow Sasuke to visit him yet was because he thought Sasuke wouldn't be comfortable on such a gloomy place. He was snapped from his train of thoughts when somebody loudly knocked the door. "Come in, coming," Itachi said as he dried his hands on a rug. The people at the other side continued pounding the door as if he or she was trying to take it down. Not that it would take much effort, but Itachi perfected the door of his apartment to intact preferred the door of his apartment to be intact. "I said I'm coming. Where is the fire?" Itachi asked as he opened the door. He gasped in shock when he saw a badly beaten Shishui covered in bruises and cuts, and as well as missing his left eye. "To answer your question, all around Konoha," Shishui said before collapsing. "Shishui!" Half an hour later, the weakened Shishui was lying on Itachi's bed. Itachi was no medic ninja, but he did have some first aid training as well as a medkit, so he could patch all the Shishui's wounds, including the one of his eyes, without much trouble. Fortunately for both, none of Shishui's wounds were too grave, ignoring the missing eye. That is it. I patched you up as best as I could, but I think it's enough. I think you may have more broken ribs and maybe a fractured arm, so it would be best if you don't move. Now tell me what is going on and what happened to you." Shishui sighed. "Danzo, that bastard. That's what happened." Noticing Itachi's confusion, the one-eyed Uchiha decided to elaborate. "I was on my way to the Naka shrine when I was told that Danzo wanted to speak with me. He deemed me a threat, claiming that I wanted to use the Koto Amatsukame on him and the Hokage and tried to remove my eyes. At least I managed to keep one eye before I lost his lagoons, and that's not even the worst of it. While Itachi remained stoic on the outside, the inside was livid. Danzo would definitely pay for such treason. He would make sure of it. The coup d'etat. It is happening as we speak," Shishui announced, and saw how Itachi lost all the colors of his face. "In fact, I have been attacked by Konoha ninja on my way here, and before you ask, yes, I managed to lose them before I got here. This happened because of me," Itachi thought. "I chose the easy way out instead of staying and trying to make things better. I think I shouldn't have listened to Shizune-san. Not Shizune is not to blame. She wasn't aware of the context of my solution when she offered her advice. I am the one to blame, and thus I am the one who has to and can fix this mess." "Itachi," Shishui asked, yanking the young Uchiha out of his thought, "what are you going to do? What are we going to do? We?" "Yes, we. Did you expect that I was going to stay here while our clan butchered Konoha to the burn the Konoha, burns Konoha to ground? No, there is no we," Shishui You are going to stay here and rest. I will take care of everything. Itachi opened his closet and started to dress with his ninja gear. You can't leave me here. Danzo still wants my Sharingan, and I am in no condition of defend myself. Oh, come on, at least take my eye. Itachi hand quickly grabbed Shishui before he could pluck his remaining eye from his socket. That eye is okay where it is now. I will be fine, and so will you. Now lie back down and rest, or else your wound will open. You can't be serious. Are you planning to go there alone? You have no friends or allies out there. The Konoha ninja will try to kill you at at the moment they see your Sharingan. That wouldn't be an obstacle. I promise that nobody will die needlessly, especially not me. Itachi assured as he put on his Chunin flat jacket. I will place a multi-layered genjutsu on this place in case somebody gets lucky and track you here. If you aren't on this bed when I return, you haven't been killed or taken prisoner by the enemy. I will kill you myself. You can't be serious. I will toss you down a cliff. Does that sound? How does that sound? Hmm. There are far worse ways to die. Well, that's all. I am leaving, but don't worry. I will send somebody I trust to watch over you. I don't know when I will be back, but if I am never back, take care of Sasuke for me. Itachi grimly asked. You don't need to tell me that, but just in case, try to come back alive. I have no idea of what to do with children. Itachi chuckled at Shishui one last time and left through a window. Hyuga was having dinner with his wife and daughters. It was a moment he enjoyed the most since it was one of the few rare opportunities when he could spend some time with his whole family, not counting his brother. Sure, he spent a lot of time training his daughter, but contrary to the popular belief, Yashihiko also enjoyed the rare moment he had to relax. After all, being a clan head was rather demanding and taxing job. So, how was your first day of training with Uzumaki-san and Jiraiya-sama? Hinata Hiyashi asked without taking his eyes off his dinner. Very well, father. Hinata softly replied, my affinity is lightning. Though I haven't completed a few chakra control exercises before I can learn any new jutsu. Hinata explained, lightning, interesting. I heard it's a good element to use in conjunction with bladed weapons. Too bad we don't use those. Yashi casually commented, may I could use weapons with the gentle fist. Hinata meekly suggested. Combat with combine the gentle fist with elemental ninjutsu. That's unheard of, exclaimed. I think it's a rather sound idea. It would give our technique another layer of power. Hikari sheepishly replied. Still, Hinata should master the actual gentle fist first before thinking in doing modifications. Hiyashi countered. Suddenly, a bunch of Hyuga branch members in the suddenly a branch house Hyuga barged into the dining room panting. Hiyashi-sama, you need to come with us. It's a disaster. Hiyashi tensed and jumped on his feet. What is going on? The Uchihas are landing an insertion against the village. Hikari gasped in horror. Hinata didn't fully understand what those words mean, but you knew it wasn't anything good. And that's not all. There are dozens of Uchiha outside the compound that they are demanding of you to come out and face them. All right, let's go, Hikari. Stay here and take care of the girls. I will see what this nonsense is about. 10 minutes later, Hiyashi arrived at the front of patio of the compound where many Hyugas, both main and branch house, were already on a fighting stance ready to engage the invading Uchihas and their mercenary allies. Among them were his brother Hisashi. I am Hiyashi Hyuga, head of the Hyuga main house. What is the meaning of this? Hiyashi demanded. Just like the branch house member said, there is a multiple of Uchiha present, among them a masked man in a black cloak with red clouds stood out. Apparently, he wasn't the leader, as another Uchiha, a tall, well-built, with a buzz cut or close to Hiyashi's age, took a few steps forwards. Hiyashi guessed he was a Jonin. Hiyashi Hyuga, both you and your entire clan have been deemed as a threat to Konoha. You will have to come with us. If you resist arrest, we will use lethal force. I am sure both me and my clansmen will come peacefully if you show us an arrest order with the stamp of Hokage's office and the Hyuga's and the Hokage's office and the Hokage's signature. Hiyashi replied, the Hokage no longer rules over Konoha. The military police is the village's highest authority now. Now tell your clansmen to surrender. This is my last warning, the Uchiha Jonin said. Now you hear my warning, Uchiha. This ground under my feet belongs to the Hyuga clan. If you and your treasonous clansmen aren't out of our property in less than 10 seconds, you will be escorted out here in inside a coffin. I am going to take that as a hostile response. Everybody, attack! Multiple Uchihas burned through filled, filled through hand seals. Other grabbed some shurikens from their tool pouches. Fire release, great fireball jutsu. Fire release, phoenix sage. Fire jutsu. A barrage of fire of multiple sizes and shurikens fly towards the Hyuga, still standing their ground, though if the Uchihas thought that they would to take them down with range attacks, they had another thing coming. A tetragram, vacuum, are all, shouted many Hyugas as they thrust their palms to forward, releasing multiple vacuum blasters that stopped some of the incoming fireballs. A tetragram heavenly spin. Other Hyugas shouted while they turned into blue chakra, twisting that defined the remaining deflected the remaining fireballs, while the Hyugas were defending half of the Uchiha and their criminal allies decided to charge forward. Crimson Squid and Blood Squid stay Crimson Squid and Black Squid stay here and secure the perimeter. Storm Squid and Tempest Squid get in the compound and kill everybody who puts up a fight. The Uchiha Jonin ordered. Yes, Nakamo Taiichiro. Multiple Uchihas replied in unison as half of the Uchiha they abandoned the patrol and got into the compound. However, Hiyashi had heard those orders as well, and he wasn't going to have any of that. Thanks to his Byakugan, he spotted his brother in no time and leaped at him. And at the moment he stopped, the heart of the Uchiha Chunin spot, uh, spotted his brother in no time and leaped at him. The moment he stopped, the heart of an Uchiha Chunin with a wall plant face strike. Hizashi, I need you to go inside and protect Hikari and the kids. Hiyashi shouted, we are in middle of battle right now, and I wouldn't leave your side. It's my duty. The younger twin replied, your duty is to obey me, and if you need cover, I will provide you some. Now go, Hiyashi said as he engaged two Uchihas, a Jonin and a Chunin, shouting one last glare at his elder brother and clan heads. Hizashi nodded and returned back to the compound. Shukaku, Nara, Inoichi, Yamanaka, Choza, Akamechi, the three have been decided a threat to the village and will have to come with us. If you resist arrest, we will use lethal force. Mikoto Uchiha announced. Shukaku looked around half a dozen Uchiha led by the wife of the clan head, surrounded both of them, both him and his two closest friends. Just just after dispatching a bunch of mercenaries that were looting a store. Is this some kind of a joke, Mikoto-san? Shikaku asked. Because if it is, let me tell you, it is a very tasteless one. Yeah, you are the police. Shouldn't you be dealing with these rats that are infesting the village all of a sudden? Choja asked. Choja, I believe it was the Uchiha who brought these rats. I didn't see any of the criminals come attacking any Uchihas. Ichi commented. Well, what is your answer? Mikoto asked. Shukaku sighed dramatically. This is going to be such a drag. Then, in an instant, his hands formed a seal, shadow, illumination, jutsu. Multiple black tendrils shot from Shikaku's shadows and fired towards the Uchiha, who jumped in time before he was being caught. While on air, Mikoto's hands ran through hand seals as well. Fire realized great fireball jutsu. The Uchiha clan head's wife breathed a huge fire at Nara clan head, who was forced to move and cancel his jutsu, spectated them from separate them from each other. Not only they are Jonins, their teamwork is downright legendary. Mikoto ordered. Yes, Mikoto-sama, the other Uchihas replied. They outnumbered us 2-on-1. Hinoichi, can you do something about this? Shik- uh, Shukaku on it. Hinoichi said as he formed a hand seals that formed a triangular unnatural space between them. Mind, body, disturbance jutsu. The two Uchihas that were about to attack him were stopped in their tracks, releasing that they no longer control their body, realizing that they no longer control their bodies, much to their horror. They started to stab each other repeatedly. Good work. Now it's my turn, Choja said, making a hand seals multi-size jutsu. Choza body inflected into a large balloon. Human boulder. Choja crushed the two Uchihas still fighting each other, while the other four managed to avoid the same painful fate. Mikoto didn't waste time and pulled out a radio. This is Mikoto Uchiha requesting for reinforcement to deal with a trio of Johnny level insurgents. We are on Matatabi Street over. Yeah, insurgent. Insurgents? We are not the ones trying to take over Konoha, thank you, Shugaku said as he accurately emulation jutsu again. In no time, a couple of the Uchiha Chunins leading a group of mercenaries joined the fray. More people, what a drag, Shikaku moaned. Joja, can you take care of the rebels? You can count on that. The multi-sized jutsu, Choza's size increased several times and used his also enlarged bow staff to wrap the mercenaries and Uchihas as if they were cleaning the floors. Still, it proved to be a hard task, and except since his foes were quicker than they thought, and his insane size made a perfect target for the Uchiha's fireball and shurikens. That should keep them busy while Inoichi and I deal with the red-eyed pests. Hey, watch out who you call pest, Nara and Uchiha shouted as he leaped at him, which proved to be a mistake since he put Shigaku in a perfect position to bind him with his shadows. Thank you for thanks for your helpful assistance, Uchiha-san. Now die. And Shukaku said as he made his hand seal, an arm emerged from Uchiha's shadows, which reached his neck and strangled the unlucky Uchiha to death. Meanwhile, Inoichi was about to take control another Uchiha's body when he felt several chakra signatures getting closer. Shukaku, more enemies incoming. Inoichi warned. Where do they come from? Where are they coming from? Shikaku said as he tried to nail the remaining enemies with his shadow imitation. 5 o'clock. Watch out from the roofs. Shoja, did you hear that? Yes, I see them now. The giant Akimichi said as he moved to intercepted them. I will see if I can take Mikoto down. She is the leader of the squad, Inoichi announced, making the same hand signals again, pointing at two Uchihas that were fighting Shikaku. Mind body disturbance jutsu. Once again, those two Uchihas stopped in their tracks, stopping, attacked Shukaku, and launched at a growling Mikoto, who did her best to keep them at bay without killing or hurting them much. Shukaku, now, thanks to the distract, distraction provided by Inoichi, the Nara practitioner managed to capture Mikoto with his shadow imitation jutsu. Success again, Shukaku said as he sighed a slightly smiled. Though Said's smile vanished when he saw the same Mikoto was also smiling at him. In your dreams, the Uchiha Konoichi retorted before disappearing into a cloud of smoke, leaving a trash in her place. Inoichi, track her now. The Shukaku frantically barked. The Yamanaka clan had nodded and made a hand signal. He managed to find Mikoto in no time, who happened to be just behind him. Inoichi tried to turn around, but not before Mikoto stabbed him in the back with a kunai. Then she kicked him back into the ground and jumped backward a few meters. Ah! Inoichi instantly threw his hand at his back, trying to remove the kunai. Inoichi! Shikaku yelled. I am okay. It's only a superficial cut. The jacket protected me somehow. Try to remove the kunai if you can. The Mikoto's lips formed a chilling smile. Shikaku paled, unbeknownst to Inoichi. While the kunai only you made a flesh wound on his back, there was an explosion tag attached to the blade weapon. The Uchiha military made hand seals, and which was followed by an explosion, and Inoichi Yamanaka was no more. For a second, time seemed to stop for Shukaku and Choza as they saw their multi-best friend their mutual best friend, no long-time partner and trusted teammate being blown up. When the dust settled, all that was left of his career immobile corpse. This is the fate of those who oppose the new rule of Konoha. I will be forgiving and will give you a chance to surrender. If you do not surrender, you will follow the same fate as your parents. Miko shouted, adopting now a cold, natural tone. Shoza let out a defending shout and started to stomp wildly around him in an attempt to crush the nearby enemy ninja, not caring of the buildings he should be potentially bringing down. Shukaku, on the other hand, only shot Mikoto a chilling, murderous glare while remaining there immobile. That was a mistake was all what Shukaku said. Mikoto didn't say anything, just frowned and motioned her hand at him. Multiple Uchihas and mercenaries leaped towards the Nara clan head from multiple directions, weapon raised in air, trying to kill him, but Shukaku wouldn't have any of that, making a quick hand skills multi shadow Shadow's tendrils shot from his shadow, instantly catching his attacker, pinning him in one place. With another hand, Seal's other shadow tendrils appeared, exploding that once were metals, took the shape of spikes that pierced the paralyzed ninja. The shadow then retreated, and the enemy ninja fell onto the ground motionlessly. You are next. Shadow Gathering Jutsu. More shadow tendrils shot from Shadow Gathering Jutsu. The shadow's tendril shot from Shukaku's shadow, this also being metallic material, fired at Mikoto while far from her prime. The Uchiha Konweichi did an adorable effort to dodging them so far by constantly running or jumping to the side. She then leaped into the air and made several hand seals before grabbing some shurikens from her pouch. Fire release. Flaming shuriken barrage. The ninja stairs immediately caught on fire. Yeah, and for the fire, the moment Mikoto tossed them, Shugaku grasped to cancel his jutsu and tried to move out of the way, but he was too slow. The burning shurikens pierced his flame jacket and immersed themselves into the Nara's flesh. Another one downed. Mikoto cheered, but her cheers were short-lived as Shugaku disappeared in a cloud of smoke. What? A shadow clone? Mikoto tried to look around for the real Shukaku, but then realized that she cannot move uh, for the corner of her eyes. She could see that a shadow tendril had caught her shadow. Shukaku jumped down from the nearby roof he was on. A shadow clone, when did you make it? I didn't take my eyes from you this whole time. Mikoto would have stomped her foot on the ground on anger if she was able to move. Certainly, you didn't. The Sharingan is rather hard to follow, but hard doesn't equal to impossible. To answer your question, I used the explosion that killed Inoichi as a cover. What? But how? The moment I saw that explosion tag, I already knew that Inoichi was dead. All that was left for me to do was to avenge him and deserve a plan devised a plan in order to take you in order to make you to let your guards down. And now all that was left is for you to pay. Shadow Neki binding jutsu. Neck binding jutsu. Mikoto saw a black hand creeping through her body until it reached her neck, and in less than a minute her world turned into darkness. After retrieving Neji, Hisashi found Hikari, Hinata, and Hanabi in the dining room just where his brother said they would be. After telling them what was going on, he began to lead them to one of the compound's emergency exit. When Hisashi saw many Hyuga fighting the Uchiha invaders and in most cases losing against them, he felt the urge to help them but felt compelled to ignore them and follow Hiyashi's instructions intended. What are you going to do once we get out of here? Father Neji asked. We will try to find some help. Don't fear, Neji. Everything will be fine. Unfortunately for the Hyuga to Uchiha, a Jonin and a Chunin block their path. All member of the Hyuga clan are under arrest. If you resist, we will use lethal force. The Uchiha Jonin in herd is comrades word. Would you dare to hurt children, you monster? Hikari spat at him as he chuckled Hanabi in her arms. There's no need to hurt anybody if you come peacefully, the Uchiha Chunin instructed. Hisashi said nothing and spurted to action. Taking advantage of Chunin's modeling lack of force, he managed to land a palm strike on his chest, knocking him backwards. The Chunin immediately reacted and unsheathed a kaiten katana and attempted to slice him. Hisashi bending backward just in time. The Uchiha's katana only sliced some of his hair. The Uchiha Chunin managed to get back on his feet and was going through several hands. He was spiral its Phoenix Fire Jutsu, and he shouted, casting multiple fire balls at Hisashi. Just as fast, Hikari, who no longer had Hanabi on her arms, jumped in front of Hisashi and she started to spin. Heavenly spin, she shouted, turning herself into a spinning dome of chakra, defending the fireballs. Don't you dare ignore me. I may be retired, but I used to be a Jonin. Thank you, Hikari-sama. Let me repay your kind act by finishing this fight. 8 tetragram, 32 bombs. Izashi shouted as he delivered a quick succession of palm strikes at the two Uchihas. 2 strikes, 4 strikes, 8 strikes, 16 strikes, 32 strikes. Unable to stop the barrage of gentle fist strikes, the Uchiha fell to the ground, prey of sudden chakra exhaustion, while the attacker was nowhere near enough to kill them or even close all their chakra points. It was enough to put them out of commission long enough for the group of 5 Hyugas to escape the compound safely. Mother, where is father? Isn't he going to come with us? Hinata asked. Father is fighting the Uchiha who attacked our home. Don't worry, dear, he is strong. He will be fine, Hikari said in a reassuring tone. As they ran away, Hisashi looked at the compound, which had several parts on it on fire on last time, and wondered if Hisashi could escape alive and meet them again back in the baton. The battle had finally died down. The place was littered with corpses, both Uchiha, missing ninja, and Hyuga alike. The only 2 men that were standing, Hiyashi and Ko Hyuga. Both of them had some minor injuries and were exhausted, but they could stand on their own. The Hyuga parties looked around and had a repress that urge to throw up. The sight of so many dead Hyugas sickened him to the core. Not even fighting in the third war shocked him so much. Hiyashi-sama, are you alright? Ko asked as he limped to him. Hiyashi tried to regain his composure. Yes, Ko, come on, let's get inside. I can hear fight still going on. We need to save as many clansmen as possible. Nice. Hiyashi then heard a sickening noise coming from Ko. Gah! Ko suddenly ground, blood coming out of his mouth. He looked down. He looked down and saw a sword. Looked down and saw a sword, penetrating, producing from his chest. Zuko fell to the ground, receiving his murderer and masked man of the black cloak. Yes, Hiyashi, go and save your clan. What's left of it, at least. The masked man mocked as he removed his sword from Ko and kicked his corpse aside. But I don't know how can you do that if you can't save yourself first. Hiyashi didn't say anything and spilled into the gentle fish stance. You will pay for that, murderer. We both had the Byakugan activated. How did you manage to ambush Ko like that? Well, I could tell you, but if I do, I would lose one of my main advantages, and that would be pretty de- determinated, don't you think? The masked man replied in the same tone as he sheatheded his katana. Hiyashi tensed when he saw his enemy flying through handsails. Wood release. Great spar tray. What? Hayashi was shocked through his battle instinct compelled him to jump backward, trying to avoid the emerging sharp tree root trying to impale him. Though his Byakugan, he saw that more roots were emerging surrounding him. Heaven is pain. Hiyashi turned into a spinning blue dome that sprouted the roots the moment he tried to grab him. Not bad. Defending, not definitely not bad. How about this then? The marksman commented at doing hand seals again. Multiple giant fireball jutsu. The marksman shouted a success of large fireballs at Hiyashi. The Hyuga clan head dodged some and blocked the other with vacuum pumps that while he dashed towards his foe, who remained in place, making no attempt to moving. Impressive. Yes, that you guys don't experience that much when you boast about your ex, ex, guess that you guys don't exaggerate that much when you boast about your power. If you thought that was impressive, wait until you see this. He actually slipped into a gentle fist stance again. This battle is over. You are within my decision. Division field, 8 tetrograms, 64 bombs. The Hyuga had launched at the masked man two strikes, but much to his bewildering, his hand pushed through the masked Uchiha's body harmlessly. Four strikes. The result was the same. Well, I am afraid to say that wasn't very impressive, the marksman said as he let out an yawn. What is this trick? A genjutsu, of course. It has to be. There's no way you can use youth release a genjutsu, you say. Good guess, but if I'm a genjutsu try to expel this suddenly at an immense speed, the marksman unsheathed his katana again and buried it inside Hiyashi's chest. Does this feel like a genjutsu? Hiyashi-sama, the marksman pushed his sword deeper. He then pulled his sword out and kicked Hiyashi's corpse back into the ground after cleaning the blood from his weapon on Hiyashi's robes. He steadied his sword again and pulled out a scroll. Oh my, Hiyashi, what beautiful eyes you have. I hope you don't mind if I borrow them. Then he took around and noticed all the dead Hyuga around him, many of them who were main house. Oh, what the hell! I will take all of them. You don't seem a change like this. You don't see a chance like this every day. The masked man started to hum a charmingly melody as he began to harvest Hyuga from the dead. Harvest Byakugans from the dead Hyugas. Gen- Janice, Janice, Kobi, doo. Meanwhile, at the Hokage's tower, Sarutobi was unaware of all the chaos and destruction that was unfolding on the village he ruled. He was unhappily reading a novel on one of his tower's living room when one of the night shift would barged into his room. A man who wore a mask of a tiger. Hokage-sama, it's a kata catastrophe, and the Anbu shouted panic. The Uchiha clan is trying to take over the village. Sarutobi slammed the book shut and turned at the Anbu with a shocked expression. What? When did this happen? We don't know Hokage-sama, but we believe it was at sunset. They have an army of criminals and mercenaries backing them up. What is the situation now? The Uchiha and their allies have taken over the torture and interrogation headquarters. The Hyuga clan compound, the hospital, the archives, and some compound of minor clans. They are currently trying to take the Jonin standby station and the academy, and we have spotted an eight-man team led by Fugaku Uchiha himself heading here properly to take over the tower and assassinate you. Sarutobi was trying his best to compose the gravity of the situation. What happened to Shisui Uchiha? Did the other Uchiha see through his phony There has to be only one logical explanation. However, that there was no time to ponder what had gone wrong, but to remedy the problem at hand. He had to act now to prevent the number of deaths from growing. I want you and all the Anbu of the tower to go and uh, liberate that hospital. That's your number one priority. Then I want you to protect the civilians from being attacked. I will stay here and I will try to make Fugaku-san to see reasons. But Hokage-sama, you can't leave. We can't leave you unprotected in a time like this. The Anbu protested. Are you questioning my orders? The old Hokage shouted, making the Anbu to flinch at the unrealizing displays of anger. Of course not, Hokage-sama. I will tell the others your orders. Good luck. The Anbu said before disappearing in a cloud of smoke. Once along, Sarutobi Gamli headed towards his office, grabbed a pencil, a blank scroll, and started writing. Once he was done, he sealed the scroll and, making some hand seals, the scroll disappeared in a puff of smoke. Then he lit his pipe and took his puff of it. So this is how it ends. Why? Despite leaving for so long, I still feel that I haven't done enough. He wondered aloud as he took another puff of his pipe. He saw a picture of him, his late wife, and his two sons, who were still teenagers at that time. The old Hokage allowed a smile to appear on his face. On the good side, it seems that we will see each other once again. Byaku-chan. Meanwhile, on the roof of his apartment building, Itachi contemplated the village before him, buildings on fire, soon brightening against the night sky. Screams shouted and explosions filled the usual silent night atmosphere. He didn't need to look far in order to see the Uchihas. Criminals and mercenaries engaged in a fight against Konoha ninjas. The Uchiha outcast beat his thumb and made five hand seals, summoning jutsu. A cloud of smoke emerged, a large crow, twice as tall as Itachi. The giant bird stared at form of Itachi with curious eyes. Good evening, Itachi-san. It is nice to see you again. You look distressed. Is there something wrong? Good night to you. Good night to you as well. Kurukaza-sama. And yes, there's something going wrong, very wrong. What I have been fearing has finally happened. The Uchihas are trying to take over Konoha by force. The Boss Crow turned around and saw the battle that took place at the very bottom of the building he and Itachi was. I see, the crow said in a grave tone. How can I be of your assistance? I need you to oversee Konoha from the sky and track all the large group of Uchihas. Focus mostly on those who appear to have upper hand in their fight. Leave the weaker ones for later. Consider it done, Itachi-san. Kurokuzan devised himself into a smaller crow that sparred above the village, and one of them placed itself on Itachi's shoulder, divided himself into a much smaller crow that spread above the village, and one of them placed itself on Itachi's shoulder. It appeared as well as if you two could, if you use two of your crows to watch over a friend Uchiha who's in a house, and my brother Usasuke, who is probably asleep back in the Uchiha compound, Itachi added, checking his equipment one more time. Itachi unsheathed his katana and approached the battle at the bottom of his building, cutting an Uchiha down upon landing. Doing so, he started choosing a side, and knew that there was no going back on that. that now that he cared since he not that he cared since Itachi considered himself a Konoha ninja first and a Uchiha second, and he should protect the village he is inhabited at all costs, even if that would mean fighting his family. He needed to stop the coup d'etat as soon as possible, and there was only one thing that would stop the ongoing madness: a massacre. But yeah, that's all for part 9 and chapter 9 of Son of the Sannin. And yeah, it really took the dark goddamn turn in part 9. But luckily, Itachi has joined, and most likely, this is only a prediction that the Sannin should join the battle next chapter or the one next. But if you want to know that, then the best way is by keeping an eye for the next video, and that would be by subscribing, because as soon as the next part will be uploaded, you will be notified for that. But yeah, that's all for this video. I hope to see you in the next one. Bye bye.